Hey, Fran fam, welcome to another edition of Life and Style with Francine. I am your host, Francine Walker. Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve. Joining me today is Leslie Ann Coles. She's a filmmaker, founder, and executive director of the Female Eye Film Festival, also known as FeFF. We're here to talk about her 19th year, celebrating her 19th year. Congratulations.
I
Please
know.
join me in welcoming Leslie Ann to the show. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. 19 years, Leslie. That's quite a feat.
I know. I can't believe I'm only 19 years
I
old.
know. Wow. Kindergarten co-op, right?
Yeah, that's right. So,
So,
yeah, 19, it's actually our 20th year, but our 19th edition. We missed a year in 2004. We were
okay,
doing other things. We didn't miss producing elements of the female eye, but we didn't have the official film festival. So, this is
sure.
our 19th edition.
So talk about how this became to be. I understand you are a former dancer and choreographer,
I am.
correct?
Hmm.
So, how did you make the transition from dance to film?
I made a film in 2001, my debut film, in the refrigerator, and it incorporated dance. And it was very much a Frances Farmer story, based on my matriarchal history. So, a great aunt of mine that I never knew. But there was a lot of mystique and allure, and there was a story about her and my family that my great aunties used to tell me, and I wanted to know more about her. So I was actually commissioned to produce it for stage at the Toronto Theatre West. And then the Theatre West closed, and I thought, well, I'm going to see if this works as a short film. And then I made the film, and then while I was hitting the festival circuit with that film, I noted there weren't a lot of women directors. And I was often one among many men, along with other women directors. And I just raised a question for me, and that was, are there so few women directors, or are there films not getting programmed? And I invited a lot of American filmmakers, mostly American Canadian, some foreign filmmakers, to come to Toronto to have a weekend of films directed by women. And that was the inaugural event in November 2001. But I never
Okay.
thought this would be going. I mean, it wasn't my plan to run an international women's film festival.
And you're based in Toronto, correct,
I
Leslie Ann?
am, yes.
So, obviously, when we talk about the Female Eye Film Festival, are these works told from the female gaze versus the male gaze?
Absolutely. So all of the films are directed by women. Most of the films are written by a woman, if not the director. But we do have a script development program that's been going for probably 15 years, and that is open to men and women. So it's
Okay.
script development. So we've always included men in our festival. The only criteria is that the films that we present are directed by women.
And how many films are usually featured during the film festival?
Anywhere from 72 to 95 films.
Wow. So normally with a film festival with that many, the works can run from how long, how long are, typically how long are the works or the film itself?
Well, 95 is when we showcase 95 films, there's usually quite a few short films integrated into that program. So we show films that are short animated films, experimental films, avant garde films, feature films, documentaries. We have a great late night thrills and chills program. But I have to say, oddly, even though we're presenting the festival digitally, we we are showing far less films this year.
Sure.
So yeah, it's very strange. I thought if we were presenting on digital platforms, it would be probably equal to or more films. So that was a bit of, we were taken aback by that. But yeah, we show films that are just little gems, 2 minutes long, right through to feature films that are 130 minutes.
Wow. So you're saying this year, particular year, the films being featured are are not as numerous as in past years, correct?
Not as numerous, but certainly remarkable, impactful, and memorable.
What are some of the films that stand out to you?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, Cream from Nora Lakos. She's from Hungary. It's so funny and delightful and brilliant and delicious. And then there's a wonderful documentary about the late, great Marion Hansel, who passed away in 2020. I had the honor of meeting her on a couple of occasions. She is from Belgium, phenomenal director. And then there's two short film programs at TIFF this weekend. One is foreign shorts, and the other are North American shorts, so Canadian and American short films. And then we have films from Taiwan and Japan.
Wow.
Oh, I mean, they're from all over the world, really.
What are now you're basically the founder and the executive director. Do you still submit films to the film festival yourself?
Oh no,
No.
no. Well, I have to say, we mentor young women on the production of their debut films. Youth, we've mentored young women from 15 to 25 years of age through the Filmmaker Development Workshop. And to date, we've produced 46 films that we
Wow.
premiered at the Female Eye. But no, I did showcase my debut film at the inaugural Female Eye, but I tend not to show my own work at the Female Eye. The Female Eye is, I'm wearing my festival director's hat. And when I'm a filmmaker or a screenwriter, that's just kind of a different
So you
scenario for me.
so you do still produce films, or
Yes.
you just don't produce them for the festival?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, I have to say that the Female Eye, for a number of years, I was I was away from my work. It took me 8 years to finish a feature documentary that was released in 2019. It won numerous awards at international festivals titled Melody Makers. And I just received funding from Telefilm Canada for a feature film that I've written. It's a Western. It's
Nice.
femme-centric. Yeah, it's so much fun. It's a posse of women outlaws. It's set in 1873. Um, and so they've given me funding to do a final polish of that and also to craft another screenplay, Love in Vain, which I've optioned the story rights to from the UK. And I'm directing my feature. My next, no, sorry, not my feature. I hope to be directing my feature. I'm directing a short titled The Curtain. This summer, I'm going to go into production at the end of the summer, early fall, and that was funded by the Canada Council for the Arts.
Now, you've been doing this for 20 years now,
Mm-hmm.
Leslie Ann. Do you see the progress as more women are taking on the director positions, taking on the producer, writer. They're bringing more films and more works to the forefront. Thank
Mm-hmm.
God, because I don't know if we can use anymore. I think it's still a ways to go, but would you say that we've made some progress where we're telling our stories from our perspective versus the guy, the way they write and the way they see women? Not all, but it tends to be from an objectified position.
True.
So, do you see what what can you note that has happened over the past 20 years that stands out to you?
Well, most certainly in the last 10 years, we've seen a swell of submissions from the international filmmaking community, specifically women, emerging in debut and mid-career. So clearly women are making more films, which means they're accessing more funding. We're seeing more films and more support here in Canada, certainly for marginalized and racialized communities of
Sure.
directors, which is phenomenal. And we've been fighting for gender equity in the industry for a long, long time. But I can say that we are seeing more films directed by women. We are seeing more funding going to women writer directors, and there's been some real groundbreakers, some real mavericks like Ava DuVernay and um, oh my goodness, I can't even think of all of them. There's a
Yeah.
lot coming from the States, a lot of
Yeah.
power coming from the States.
Yeah.
But here in Canada, there's been, Patricia Rozema, who was a maverick at the festival this year, Carrie Scogland, who does action films, Gail Harvey, who works in television. I mean, there's a lot of women in Canada working in the television sector who love to make feature films. But getting,
Sure.
as you probably know, funding to make a feature film is a lot different than working for a production house and shooting episodes for television or web series. So we still have a ways to go, but
Yeah.
I think we're getting there, and I think women. You were speaking to that, and I just want to dovetail on it. But women do treat sex and violence very differently than their male counterparts. In that, I
Sure.
find that it's often what you don't see in when it comes to violence, which is very disturbing. And also, when it comes to sex, it doesn't favor the male perspective. It's from the female perspective, which is so refreshing, you know.
It is refreshing, and it not only, I find that when films come from the female perspective, told from the female gaze, that there is this kind of reinforcement of our voice and our bodies, um, by way of expression. You mentioned Ava DuVernay, one of my favorite Queen Sugar. The
Oh yeah,
way she lights the characters, the
she is
symmetry.
amazing.
Yeah, everything is
And
just, the framing. It's like, wow, everything it just has a place. And I
yeah,
think it just has to do with our tendency to nurture something and place it in such a way. We Issa Rae, she
yeah,
just signed a multi-billion, was it 8 or 9 figure deal. So it looks like, Naya DaCosta.
yeah,
Uh,
Naya.
you know what I mean? So as far as looking at, there's a friend of mine now. She's a director, Erica Watson. She does a lot of stuff. So I'm seeing the doors open, maybe a little bit more.
women are
You know,
women are kicking down those doors,
absolutely,
unapologetically.
absolutely,
What's lovely about Ava is she is very inclusive. So Deborah
yeah,
Kempmeyer, who's a New York director, she's
yes,
white.
yeah,
She was an honorary director at the Female Eye Film Festival in 2020, which was March 2020, just under the radar of the pandemic. And she had just directed an episode of Queen Sugar, um, and she was so ecstatic about it when she came to the
yeah.
festival. So I think there's room for all of us, and I think we
I
need to
think
make
so.
room for each other, and we need to
Yes,
support each other, stand together, holding hearts, hands, and minds. I think it's a good time for women creatives, content creators like yourself. I really think it's an important and very powerful time for us to claim our ground and to not let it up and not to let go and to just keep nurturing and doing things the way we do them, which is a little different,
yeah. Well, and we also have to celebrate you, who blazed the trails 20 years ago to open up this door for emerging filmmakers from all over the world, because
Mm-hmm.
the most common thing is we're women. Our experiences may may differ in some way, and they may be similar in other ways. But I think, just the opportunity to tell a story by way of film, art imitates life. And sometimes watching something makes us feel better about what we're going through, even if it's through the character. It lets us know we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
So films are so needed, specifically, I have to reemphasize, specifically told from the female perspective. Um, so it runs through, I actually have the poster here,
Mm-hmm.
the flyer. That is so cute. I love it.
It says
Uh,
digital. It's a little different than what we normally do, but we are a digital edition. So,
yeah. So the 19th annual film festival. And I love that it has the different just women from all walks of life as far as,
mhm.
the different. I like that. So the film festival runs how long?
Oh my goodness. That's the other thing about moving to a digital. So we are actually running until March the 29th. So we have been
Okay.
on Encore Plus with predominantly Canadian films, a handful of non-Canadian films. And now tomorrow we're moving to Digital TIFF Bell Lightbox. We are a partner festival of TIFF and became one in 2020. And we're really excited that we are delivering some great films over the course of the next 4 days at Digital TIFF, and they all launch at once. The only thing is that the program on the platform is geo-blocked to Canada. Um, and that,
I
I
was going to
suppose, is
ask
to
that.
protect the films. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are films still screening at Encore Plus, and that's streamed through Google, and that is on Canadian aggregator.
Okay.
And that's until Sunday, March the 28th. So there are films that are free and streaming on that platform that people can access.
And is that access through the website, the Female
Yeah,
Eye Film Festival website? So that,
you could
okay,
absolutely connect with everything right there. Yeah.
okay. You talked about funding, and I wanted to make sure, which is always crucial to any project, how, how crucial, I shouldn't say how crucial, how does one access? Do you find that that is a big obstacle for, um, a lot of filmmakers? How can one, do you have an avenue through the film festival to, or pipeline to funding?
We we do through the script development program. So it's a grant. It's an award. It's $2,500, and we're actually going to be producing the script development program in June. We didn't deliver it in this iteration. This
Sure.
was focused specifically on films. And then we have through the Good to Go, we have Meet the Funders, where writers meet with decision makers and producers and executive producers and distributors. It's usually live, which is really wonderful. It's visceral. People sit across the table from each other. It's a lot about that. And I think my advice to filmmakers who are looking for funding, I we just every country is different. In Canada, we have public funding for film and television. In the States, I've been listening to a lot of my American cohorts, and they're saying that it's about private equity and investment, or you get a studio behind a really great script. Um, there's just it's different. It's just always
Sure.
different, how people
Yeah.
go about doing it, and where the funding is.
Hmm. Wanted to piggyback and kind of go backwards. We talked about you being a choreographer and a dancer. Um, I can't. Was it ballet? Was it ballet?
No, it was modern
No,
dance and tap
modern
and
dance.
jazz.
Okay,
I did it
okay,
from the time I was 4.
okay. So, do you see a parallel between dancing and filmmaking?
A great question. No one's ever asked me that before.
I,
Well,
I had it in
yeah,
my mind when I
I
read your
do.
bio. I said I gotta ask that
Such a
because,
great question. I actually do
yeah,
see that because when you look at film and you look at it when it's edited or when you're editing, you're really marrying images. There's this flow that happens visually. And with dance, it's all connected. And actually,
yeah,
one of the comments I received from some producers who read my Western, they were marveled at how I wrote the action scenes and how I could track the complexities of the shootouts and the movement. And I
yeah,
really believe it's because I come from a dance background that I can track movement. I know what happens if something happens over there, I understand cause and effect, I suppose, in
yeah.
a
It kind
very
of
visceral way. So it was
Yes.
actually really not that challenging for me,
Yeah.
the transition. And people have said that my film, Melody Makers, which has a huge photo archive at the heart of it, is really a dance of images. These iconic music
Wow.
icons from 1965 to 1975. And there's really a flow and a pushing in and a pulling out of the actual iconic photo archive that sits at the heart of the film.
What are some of the things someone decides, they've never made a film before,
Hmm.
and yet they're inspired by your work and all the work of the aforementioned that we spoke of. And it's like, I think I have a movie in me, or I think I have a film, more importantly, a film, whatever the length or the length of the feature is. What would you advise someone who thinks they have a film or a story, and maybe I should say a story to tell, and they want to
Hmm.
make it a film?
I would say that if they can shoot a short film or a proof of concept, and they can rally friends in the industry in the film and television to shoot a short, uh, in America you call it a proof of concept or a trailer, and
Yeah,
they feel they have a story to tell that's worthy of a feature treatment or a short film, they should do it. There's a lot of grants and funding out there for short films, and there's a lot of people who are looking for original storytellers. And I would say that if you really want to get in the game and you
yeah,
want to be doing it professionally, you need to hone your craft, take screenwriting workshops, watch independent films, know why you like the stories you like, tell stories from your own authentic place, your own authentic voice,
sure.
and don't ever listen to anyone who tells you can't do it. I have to be
You
mindful
have
of the
to go.
time.
Yes,
I'm
yes, and
moderating a
reiterate.
panel with international
Yes,
short filmmakers in like 5
yes,
minutes.
yes, and
I'm
I saw
so
the time.
sorry.
No, that's okay. That's why I said we'll keep it short. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I
Good luck on
I
the
won't.
duration. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I want to thank you so much for your time and for your
Yeah,
interest in the
no
festival and
worries.
your support. And I hope that you and I will meet again.
Oh, we will. I promise.
I think
Take care,
so. I think
okay?
we will. You're doing
Yeah.
really good work. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
I
for having
appreciate
me.
that. You're welcome. Take
Thank you.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.